Creativity in the Age of COVID with Dr. Judi Bloom and Richard Skipper. It's the only program in which therapy and entertainment come together to show everyone not only how to cope in the age of COVID, but how to be creatively productive through it all. And now, Dr. Judi Bloom and Richard Skipper.
Hello, Dr. Bloom.
And hello, Richard. How was your summer?
Well, my summer. I was sitting right here doing live streaming. You were all over Europe, getting married, I might add. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, it's so funny. It seems like, first of all, congratulations. It seems like it was just yesterday that we were here doing this. And life goes on, as we know. We were going to resume as we are here with a new title. We were going to call the show Creativity in an Ever-Changing World, because we wanted to get away from the name COVID, because we thought that COVID would be behind us.
Silly us. Yes.
As you were traveling everywhere, I was planning a trip to Africa. I was going to Kenya and Nairobi in February. And the travel agency called us this past week and has postponed it another year because they don't think it's safe for us to be traveling right now. I want to ask you, with all of your travels and everything, were you nervous at all traveling around? Or what did you discover outside the United States as far as the protocols that were in place?
Yeah, it was different from country to country, of course. And we went to a lot of countries. We went to 6 different countries. But what we did see was a lot of very strict precautions in most of the places that we went to. For instance, in Dubai, I'll use as an example, you couldn't go anywhere without a mask, including in your hotel lobby, just walking through the lobby or anything, unless you were literally seated at your table to eat, and then they urged you in between, like courses or whatever, to put your mask back on again. So it was very strict. And this is, Dubai, where it was 110 degrees heat all the time, so masks aren't particularly comfortable. But everybody did it. I didn't see one person on the streets or anywhere who didn't cooperate. And that's, I think one of the big things that we have to remember, that it's about cooperation, and that we are all in this together, because whatever you do is going to affect me and the next person and the next person and the next person. So it's not just about, well, these are my rights or whatever, I'm entitled to make my own opinion. No, actually, you are affecting everybody else. And I think that, it's so important for people to remember that and understand that our restrictions compared to a lot of the rest of the world is very minimal, actually.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I was listening to John Meacham last night, and he was talking about this very situation, and the fact that as patriots in this country, that we need to start thinking about our fellow man, that we need to think about our neighbors, we need to think about our brothers and sisters, we need to think about everyone. And it's very interesting. This show is not a political show. We are focused on the arts and the fact that Broadway is coming back, cabaret is coming back, and Broadway is rolling out at an amazing speed right now. It doesn't feel like it's been a big speed because it's been 16 months, hard to believe, the longest period since the beginning of Broadway theaters opening up, that Broadway theaters are coming back. But the fact of the matter is that the Broadway theaters are opening up. People are adhering to the rules. People are abiding by the rules. And the interesting thing is, the people that are protesting this are the very people that would not be buying tickets for these shows in the first place. And that's an odd thing. I want to get right into our show today because we've got 3 amazing women that I am very excited about. They are all 3 amazing artists. 2 of them are on the stage, and two of them are actually opening tomorrow night in two different venues in New York City with their own cabaret shows. And the other has a very unique industry that she created her own self, and she has been extremely busy because she basically is the woman behind so many Broadway shows that we're going to talk about as we get to her. But I want to bring on our first guest. This is Claudine Jellison, and she has a show coming to Don't Tell Mama tomorrow night, and she's also going to be there on the 12th, called Hello Frenchie.
Hey, Frenchie.
Hey Frenchie, and I should say bonjour.
Merci.
And Claudine has had a very interesting story because she's been dealing with some throat issues, if I may go there, Claudine. And she's been dealing with getting her voice back. And God bless her, in the midst of having to go through those situations, she's dealing with COVID, coming back, doing a show, and dealing all these things. So I thought it would be an important reason to have her here today. So welcome to our show.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Hey, Frenchie, I've started going back into cabaret maybe 10 years ago. And I had done it a lot when I was younger. I loved it. I loved singing. And I always found that my stories were like onions, that I really found that it was about solving a problem. Every show was about solving a problem, telling a personal story and getting the problem out there. And then, okay, this is what we can reflect on that problem. This time, I think because of COVID, also because of the situation, I have what's called an essential tremor. And that was diagnosed about 5 years ago. But for some reason, during the last 18 months, it just grabbed me, it just took hold. I was able to sing past it. My show was supposed to open March 2020, March 16th, actually, to be exact. So,
excuse me for interrupting. The theaters and cabaret shut down on March 12th.
Right. Done. Finito. Right. But you kept thinking, we'll go open in April. No, we won't open in April. No. Okay. We won't open. And then it was kind of like, well, I don't know. So, this story is kind of about my relationship with my dad, who has also passed away during this time of COVID.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you. He passed away well over a year ago, and he passed away early on. He was living in a nursing home. He'd had a major stroke. And it's more like celebrating his life now than feeling the grief. There was grief, but there's a lot of celebration. I talk to him every day. I talk to his photo.
Good for you.
But when I was a kid, I sort of rejected my French family. I spoke French. It was my first language. I didn't speak English. I went to school, and kids would call me, "Hey, Frenchie." So I didn't like that. And the story is that I came home from school with a black eye and told everybody I wasn't going to speak French anymore. I don't remember this particular black eye, but I do remember fights. So I didn't speak with my folks in French. I would always respond in English. I knew exactly what they were saying. It was like, okay, great. I never, I didn't, and one day as a kid, I discovered in my aunt's pantry, because everybody in my family was in the restaurant business. She was a coat room girl, and my father eventually became a restaurateur, and my grandfather was a bartender, and my grandmother had her own restaurant. So everybody had a restaurant. But my aunt was a little wacky and wonderful. She had the only record player in the house. Nobody in the family had a record player. So I found her record player and I found her albums, and they were mostly French albums. So I would play this music. I was 6, 7, 8 years old. I would push away from the table, and I would go into the pantry and I would listen. And so that's how I found Charles Trenet and Charles Aznavour and Yves Montand and Piaf and Patachou and all these people, and I love them. And I would sort of do my own karaoke in the pantry. And my aunt supported that. My folks not so much. But eventually, my folks left New York and they opened a restaurant in Vermont. I stayed here, and then there was my dad divorced my mom. He came down here to live with somebody. And when his partner passed away, as what happens with elderly people, when their partners pass away, he became very frail.
Yeah.
So I was the only person nearby, the only person to take care of him. So I did, and the gist of it is how this music, and my eventually learning French so I could speak to him, because everybody would go, speak to him in his first language. And I go like, well, okay, all right, I will try. And then the other thing people would say was play music. And well, he never listened to music. I never heard him. He bought 2 albums when I was a kid. 60 French Girls, Can't Be Wrong, and 60 French Girls Sing Noel. And that was it. That was it. I never heard him even listen to those albums, but he bought those. So I started to play my pantry songs for him. I downloaded them because they were from his generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I played them and I played them. And I think the gist of the story is what happened when I played them, and how suddenly, because since he divorced my mom, we were fairly estranged, but now I had to be with him and I wanted to be with him. And suddenly we like crossed a bridge. And that's the story. That's the gist of the story.
It was a true rapprochement for you.
Oui, merci. Yeah, rapprochement. Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So,
Well, we're going to go back and we're going to talk a little bit about the show itself. And I want to talk about some of the concerns that you're having about being on stage again. Don't Tell Mama. I do want to put the word out to everyone. 343 West 46th Street. And they are really on top of the ball when it comes to all of the COVID restrictions. And they've crossed every T, dotted every I. You can rest assured that if you were in the audience tomorrow night, that you are in a very safe space. And speaking of safe spaces, I want to bring on our next guest. Now, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but Broadway has a fairy bra mother, and that's Lori Kaplan. I will say this, I also, in the midst of everything else that I do, I lead a positive book group, and Lori is part of that group, and that's how we met, and we've gone through this past year together. We've also broken bread together. She's been a guest in my home, so it's been great getting to know her this past year. And we've gone through the ups and downs of dealing with family and businesses going up and down and everything. And I am thrilled to say that her business is on the upswing again, thanks to Broadway coming back. Yeah. And also part of the past year, a lot of what would have been her competition also did not survive COVID, and which is also, for better, for worse, has been beneficial to you because she forged right through it. So welcome, Lori.
Thank you, Richard. And I have to say thank you, really, because being part of your book club and having something to look forward to every week for those early days in COVID is really what got me through. Because when Broadway shut down on the 12th, we shut down 2 days later. And I said, that's it. I called up everybody I know. I said, that is it. It's done. We're never coming back. And I was really catastrophizing quite a lot. But doing the artist's way brought me back to the fact that I am also a writer and that I love to write. So I started working on a memoir that I'm writing called My Life Behind Bras. And I now have 14 chapters that, I've shared some with the book club, and I've started publishing some on my website and on my blog. So after I sat in the house and pretty much cried for the first 3 months of COVID, I was just so devastated. Of all the ways I imagined the world ending, this was not it. It's like I saw fire and floods, and I get it, and nukes and 9/11. Virus was not on the bingo card. So I joined the book club, started writing my book, and also built a website and started doing virtual bra fittings for women around the world by Zoom. And it was very slow at the beginning, but women in India and Malaysia and Alaska called me, "Hi, I'm a busty bride and I can't find anything, and I don't even remember how I heard about you, but you're my last hope." So, that was very uplifting to be able to connect with women that I might never have met or connected with. And very recently, Broadway is coming back to life. It's like everybody was asleep for a year and a half and woke up at exactly the same time on the same day, like nothing had happened the past year and a half before. It's like, I need 6 of these and 12 of these. And normally, I've tried to prepare. I've been gathering merchandise. We got a lot of loans, PPP loans and EID disaster loans, and I've been acquiring merchandise, preparing for Broadway coming back. So we developed our own line of tights for stage wear. I am now in the process of, I have to make a G-string. There's like G-strings have disappeared from the landscape, and I have wardrobe supervisors calling me all day. It's like, I work with circus performers, we need G-strings.
This is her business. This is it.
Yeah, tits and ass, baby. That's what gets your jobs. So, it's like my whole life is a process of creating and recreating and reproducing and rebuilding and just trying to stay relevant. I've been in this business for almost 45 years. And yes, there are businesses that come and go, and, competition and people that are much younger than me and more energetic. But this is my life. It's like at one time, it would be very hard for me to separate Lori from bra tenders. I would just so immersed and enveloped by it that it's my life. And now at age 66, that's starting to wear me down a little bit. And I'm looking for help. We laid off most of our staff during COVID, but now that it's busier, I am in need of more hands-on. There's a lot of actionable activity that happens throughout the day. It's like, we're shooting a Hulu movie and I need 20 of these, and can we come right now? I have a hosiery emergency. So every day, all day long, it's a lot for me alone to keep up with. And, everybody else in the shop has their little thing that they need to do too. And now it's all gotten bigger for a lot of us. So we're looking for a fairy bra mother to train and an office manager.
They may be watching right now. So there's a fairy bra mother in training somewhere out there.
Speaking of getting bigger, with COVID, have you found a lot of the people that you're now outfitting have gotten a little bigger?
It's unusual, yes. About 20% of the repeat clients have come back. It's like I gained weight, I've had women reach out to me and say, "Do you think my breasts are going to sag more because I didn't wear a bra for a whole year?"
Ooh, right.
And I said, that would be a really interesting study for one of the major manufacturers to do, but I sure don't have the time or the means to do a study, but it would definitely be interesting. Women became unhappy with wearing wired bras during COVID. So we've been finding solutions for most of our clients. 90% of our clients wear a double D cup or bigger. So we carry 83 bra sizes, and, go find a strapless bra to hold up your 38 JJs. It's not so easy. So it's not just people going to shop. We provide solutions to wardrobe conundrums on and off the stage. We work with a lot of brides and a lot of red carpets and formal occasions and music videos. So it's really the whole gamut of entertainment and everyday life, and it keeps me on my toes.
Wow. Well, speaking of being on our toes, I want to bring on our next guest, and then we're going to have a lively conversation about everything that's going on. Leah Stretch has come in from California. It is California that you came in from, isn't it?
Yes, I came in from Los Angeles last night.
And you
My
flew,
stomping grounds, yes.
yes. But you flew in to do a show tomorrow night at Green Room 42. So, I mean, for Claudine, who lives here, Lori lives here, and Dr. Bloom is down in Florida. What was the situation like for you to travel to New York? And did you travel with a band, or are you putting your band together here in New York? What?
That's a good question. I actually have a friend who's a drummer who lived in LA and has since moved to New York, so I'm using him. and
this is you.
That is
Barbara
me.
Dixon.
That is me in character. And my bassist and my pianist are coming in from LA, but they actually are doing their own show at Club Cumming on Sunday night this weekend. So they sort of, and they're playing at a wedding, and so they stacked it with a bunch of other activities. So they're like, we'll fly ourselves out. I'm like, cool, that'll work out. Traveling, not bad. I mean, I traveled on a Wednesday, and it's the first time I've traveled in over 2 years.
Wow.
And it was pretty mellow. I was very pleased to see that it was mellow.
When I hear that, based on what I'm seeing on the news, that makes me very happy. So I want to ask you, I mean, coming to New York to do a show now, I know that a lot of venues, there's a lot of backup from people that already had bookings prior to everything shutting down. Did you already have this booking?
I did. It was booked for April of last year. And so they contacted me maybe around May of this year when things were starting to get going again. And I have a big birthday on Saturday. So I was like, it'd be so cool to just, thank you, to have it all happen the same weekend. So I decided to come. And luckily it's still happening, because I was like, oh no, did I wait too long? Is it going to be scary again? But it seems okay. And I think Green Room 42 seems to be on top of it.
Yeah, they are very much on top of things. I want to ask both you and Claudine, have you had the chance to have any performing prior to your performances tomorrow night?
No, I've been doing a lot of stuff on Jam Kazam with people, and then I remember the first like in-person rehearsal that I had with Barry Kleinbort's my director, and with David Gaines, my musical director, and it was a little awesome. Okay, we're all going to be in one room, which happened to be my living room because we have a nice piano, and and I can afford the large space in my living room more than some large space at Ripley Career, but that was a little awesome. I think for me, this will be the first time. This will be the first time since one, like you, Leah, I was supposed to go on in March 2020, and you're April, so it was, this is the absolute first. And it's a little different for me because I've become, as opposed to a grande chanteuse, I've become a disseuse. I do a lot more talk singing due to the tremor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it'll be like a new experience. And I keep tweaking it, and Barry keeps saying, leave it alone, see what it's like in front of an audience. And I will, because there's a joy to that. Yeah.
And Leah, what is your Barbara character?
So yeah, I was going to say, I created this character over a decade ago when I was performing at the Groundlings, and I was doing sketch comedy every week. And it was initially a 5-minute sketch where I was playing this, aging Broadway star who's still holding on to being able to play the ingenue and like aggressively trying to show off what she's got. So it was 5 minutes, and it was probably the best sketch I did there my whole year that I performed there. And for years, I was like, I got to make this into a full hour, parody of a cabaret show. And finally, maybe 3 years ago, a friend of mine who'd never done her own show before wanted to do it. And I was like, hey, we can share the night. You put together a half hour and I'll do this half hour. And what do I want to do? And I was like, okay, I should do that character. So it kind of forced me to do it. And then since then, I've done it at the Groundlings again, and also a bunch of other venues in LA. And last year was going to be my New York debut. So now the New York debut is happening. But during the pandemic, this is my first live appearance as the character. But during the pandemic, I started building up the social media platforms and making videos. And my husband wasn't working. So we've sort of like teamed and written these videos together, and he shoots a lot of them and edits them. And it's really been wonderful to see the response. And I was going to say, I do have this viral video. I don't know if anybody's seen this Fosse tutorial that's been circulating, but it's like the biggest video I've ever done. And I released it like 3 days ago, and like Jane Lynch is tweeting about it and all this stuff's happening. I'm like, oh, cool. Hopefully people come to the show now. But
I have to tell you, I was watching, I watched it last, I didn't realize that was you.
yeah, that's me.
I was just watching this.
What's the video?
Well,
So
it's a proof of an aging dancer, doing these Fosse moves.
it's like a Fosse tutorial. It's like I'm teaching you how to do Fosse. And the character is called Broadway Barbara. It's on Instagram. It's on TikTok. It's on YouTube. You can probably just search Broadway Barbara Fosse tutorial and find it.
Well,
Yeah,
absolutely,
I mean,
it's hysterical. So
But that's what's
congratulations.
remarkable is on social media, people actually think that she's real.
Mhm.
And so that's an interesting thing for me to play too. It's like, I want everybody to think that she is real. So she has a separate Instagram, and I'm like, I kind of like the anonymity of it. And so I never appear as myself on those handles. And yeah, people are like, what's your skincare routine? You look amazing.
I have a question. Is
Yeah.
she based on anybody in particular?
It's a complete amalgamation of all the women, because my background's in musical theater. I went to UCLA. I lived in New York for forever, but I always gravitated towards like the older woman character role in these musicals. And in college, I played Joanne and Company. I was always cast as these women too. So it's really like Elaine Stritch, Liza Minnelli, some of Carol Channing, some of everybody in there. And it's allowed me to do what I actually love to do, because I never really wanted to play ingenue parts, and I never felt like I fit into those parts. So I'm like, all right, I'll just start doing it before I'm really allowed to be doing it yet.
Mhm.
And it's really been just rewarding to see that people are connecting to it. And I wouldn't have had that had it not been for COVID, truly, because that allowed me to sort of just work on it for a whole year and a half and really shape what it is. And now I have this great,
Well, you've
show.
given me an idea for a great question that I want to ask, but I want to see if Dr. Bloom has anything before I ask the question.
No, go for it.
Okay. I want to ask each of you, and we'll go around on this, and I'll start with you, Claudine. How has COVID affected you in terms of your creativity, in terms of things that you've learned about yourself in the past year and a half that you think that you will be carrying forward beyond where you are right now, in terms of the way that you are creating?
Well, during this time, I kept up with my French lessons, and I also started taking a lot of different writing workshops. So I started writing. In fact, I rewrote a lot of my script as part of the workshops. I found that I had more to say. I found that I was more of a it wasn't the voice. It wasn't about the voice. It was about the content. It was about what you want to say, how you want to reach out to people and grab them, and have them reach back to you and grab you. So that was exciting. I think the other thing I did a lot of phone banking, and sometimes it was depressing, but there were some incredible people. Absolutely incredible people that I got to talk to. Remember one of them, her name was Lily, and she lived in Florida. And Lily was probably about 85, 90 years old. She was an African-American woman. And she told me her whole life story.
Mm.
And I said, well, do you need help getting to the polls? And she said, no, honey, I can get there on my own. I can take care of it myself. And she just, but it's like there were so many wonderful people to talk to with that I think that we've all found new resources. We found new ways to communicate. Tech has not always been my forte, but it's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting out there. If I thought my voice had been stronger, I would have done something video. But I decided I needed to be in person. I needed to be eye to eye. Otherwise, I guess that's the discovery, that there's a lot more out there.
Okay. And Lori?
Yeah, I had a shift in perspective about a lot of things in my life, about what was important. It's like I let my hair grow gray, where a year before I had my hair colored in January before the COVID shut down in March. And I said, I'm going to keep coloring my hair until they put me in the box. But it didn't seem important anymore. And, I started like throwing away my makeup. I said, do I really need, what good are eyelashes out to here? Do they enhance or enrich my life in any way? And they don't. So and that same thing happened with people in my life too, people that I care very deeply about, but who don't respect my time or attention, who don't value me as a person. I just don't want to give them my time or attention anymore. When I was young, I hated to be alone. I always had to be talking to somebody or in relationship with somebody or relating to somebody. And I found out that I really enjoyed my solitude and sitting here and doing a crossword puzzle or writing or just watching my cats sleep, be the Zen masters that they are. But, and even still, I'm learning that even if I have an hour and nothing to do, there's always like this compulsion to run, to do, I got to make this call, I got to answer those emails. And I just feel like I want to stop and slow down. And, being in my business, that's not really possible. So, everything, the whole world seems like it turned upside down for me. Everything that
what both you and Claudine are talking about is really understanding more about what's truly important in your life.
Yeah.
The people who are important and not important to be in your life, the things that are important to focus on and to give our time and our energy to. Yeah. And I think that's a real blessing, if you will, that's come out of all of this. Yeah. Is that people have the time to just sort of, that we were forced to, but it gave us the time to just kind of pull back and reevaluate things and look at life a little bit differently than the go that we're all so used to.
Absolutely. And what about you, Leah?
I know, I was going to say, I don't know that I have much to add to that because I agree with everything that's already been said. I was going to say, I found out I really made the right choice when it comes to my husband because we got married in 2019 and everybody's like, oh, first year of marriage in quarantine. But no, it was actually such a wonderful time that we spent together and obviously creative. So it was great. I did. And also when Claudine was mentioning tech and how we kind of had to start to lean into tech, I really did have a strong aversion to social media prior to last year. Like I'm not on Instagram. I'm not really on TikTok. And I'm just like, I don't like any of it. And I had to sort of be like, it's just a tool. It's not good or bad. It's a tool. And when it becomes the only tool you have in your mind, though, there was a point where I started to put so much pressure on it because I was seeing, this is all I have. I just have the social media and there's people around me that are posting and they're making it happen and all this stuff's happening for them. And I felt like I didn't have anything else. So I was putting pressure on that. And of course, the second you relax and things opening up and allowing live performance to come back again definitely helps. because that's what I love first and foremost. That's really all I want to do. I'm like, if that following can then translate to people that to come see something live, great. But and also it doesn't have to be huge. You're touching, like, you can touch a small amount of people, and there's so much value in that. And that's sort of what the pandemic did for me too. It's just, there really were a lot of people that I didn't know that were, that I was bringing a lot of joy to during that time. And that brought me a lot of joy.
I was reading an article earlier today, and it was about putting our art out to the masses. And all of us put such an emphasis on it's got to be this perfect piece of art that we're putting out there.
Right.
And if we would just enjoy the process a little bit more, that, okay, today I'm putting this out there, and it is what it is. It's this show that we're putting out there. Don't concentrate on how many people are going to be watching, if the lighting is going to be absolutely perfect, if the sound elements are going to be absolutely perfect. We're going to put the show out there and hope for the best. And then, and then we go on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And then after a while, you have a body of work behind you. And that's what we have to focus on. I'm going to stick with you for just a moment, Leah, because you are coming from out of town, doing a show in New York, making your New York debut in the middle of a pandemic. So I bow to you on that. How have you utilized, you talked a little bit about all the elements that you've been adopting with social media and everything, but what elements of social media are you really embracing in terms of building an audience? And what can you impart to people who are listening today in terms of what you're doing in terms of getting the word out about your show? And thank you for doing this today to get the word out.
Of course. Thank you for asking. That's it's a hard question. You learn a platform and you start to feel like, oh, I want to serve the platform and do it in the style that everybody's doing it or whatever. But really what works best is you doing what you like to do. Always. That's always going to work, what works best. And I started to, as I would see my whatever views dwindle, and I'm like, well, I got to do this kind of a trend or this kind of a trend. And that wouldn't work consequently. And then here, a tutorial, a Fosse tutorial that is so, I'm just so happy that is a video that's being seen because it is so Barbara and it's nothing like, it works on TikTok, but it's not like I'm trying to do a TikTok trend with it. And that's the one that resonates. So I really feel like people just have to stick to what they love to do and, the truth of what they're doing, and that they'll find an audience for it. And it may not be immediately, it really has been a slow growth for my character. And you just have to, that's fine. That's fine.
Enjoy the process. Enjoy the process.
Exactly. And it's easier said than done sometimes. But truly, yeah, you have to enjoy what you're doing and not try to pander to do whatever you think you're supposed to be doing.
Right. And Lori, with you, I know that your business is, if you'll pardon me for going there, a hands-on business. So it's about people coming through those doors, and especially in a time where people are a little bit more cautious about walking through those doors. How are you utilizing this time to try to reach beyond the barriers that people are now putting up to get the word out about your business?
Well, we hired a social media person about 6 months ago who does weekly posts for us because not my forte. It's not what I don't know enough about it to, make them effective. And I think she's helping, and she only works with women companies and she only takes a certain number of clients a year. So we're lucky that, and she does a lot of people in intimate apparel business. So I think that works. And it's always word of mouth. We get a lot of brides, so they hear about us from the bridal salons where they buy their dresses. They have friends in the costume industry. It's like, oh, I saw you, your little video at the costume industry exhibit on 42nd Street. During the pandemic, all the costume shops that make the clothes for Broadway and movies, Mrs. Maisel's dresses, everybody's shut down. And, it's
Mhm.
51 small New York businesses that make things, that are artisans and craftspeople. And we formed a coalition called the Costume Industry Coalition, which now has an amazing exhibit on West 42nd Street. And they have some of the artisans in the space during the week showing that this is how I made this light up helmet from Medusa. They're showing pleating and beading, and
Oh, that's great.
it's amazing. And we did a lot of fundraising and distributed funds among the members, just because we all have lives to live, and our lives just stopped. Just stopped. And everybody's getting back to being busy now. But for my business, it's always only been word of mouth that, it's like the service that we provide. People come in, they like that it's by appointment, they're not walking into a crowded store. There's never more than 2 customers in the store at the same time. So they make an appointment on our website, they come in, they shop, and, they have to get buzzed. We're in an office building, not on the ground floor. So they have to show ID and be wearing a mask to get into the building. And then everybody's wearing masks in my business. And I and my staff are all vaccinated. And, we've had some people being resistant. Well, I'm vaccinated and I don't want to wear a mask. Yes, but you don't know who might be in the shop who's not vaccinated.
That's right.
So if you don't want to wear a mask, you can just wait out there in the hallway. And, it's been really, it makes me feel bad that women are that way, because I always put women on a pedestal. It's like women are better that way, and we're not. And that's my thing and my issue. But the whole anti-mask thing, and why not care about your neighbor, love thy neighbor as thyself. That's what we do in my business. We're happy to help anybody who needs help, And people drop into the shop. It's like, oh, hi, I was just in the neighborhood and I wanted to say hello. Everybody's dying for connection, And this is kind of like a nexus. It's where the costume people are, and where the shoppers are, and the wardrobe people, and the stars, and the performers, and the actors. So, and it's from TV and from Broadway and from Hollywood. So, it's a pretty small community spread out over a lot of space, but it's the same people involved in all the projects all the time. And I have relationships with these people, some of them for more than 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Claudine and Leah,
Yeah.
are they requiring proof of vaccination for
Yeah.
working
Yeah,
at?
I'm actually asking my folks when they're not drinking to mask up,
Great.
because the brick room is a very, very small space, and I'm sure that they've ventilated it and everything else, because it's been renovated. But I just to keep everybody comfortable, I'm just asking everybody to mask up, and I'll walk on with my mask on and take it off, then put it back on when I leave the stage.
I know that, Claudine, in your case, that you have to make your entrance through the audience.
Right.
Leah, you don't at the green room.
That's news to me. I haven't been in this space yet.
Oh, you haven't been in the space? Well, trust me, you don't have to walk through the audience. So I have performed in both spaces.
Okay.
So, but do you know if both spaces are operating at capacity? Do you know?
I think that you go.
Well, I think that they were at limited capacity, but then I think that they opened to full capacity, and I'm pretty sure that they're still at full capacity, but I do not actually know.
And Claudine, I know that they are serving food at Dontcha Mama now. Leah, are they serving food at Green Room 42?
Again, that's a good question. I think so, but I don't know. It's been hard. Like, the communication has. I'm not sure, because I'll see them all tomorrow, and hopefully people don't have to. There's no 2-item minimum or anything at Green Room 42, so it's not like you have to eat. So people can remain masked the whole time if they want to.
The food used to be actually pretty good there. I've had dinner there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was very good.
Leah, I want to ask you, with everything that's going on right now, and happy birthday, happy successful show. What are your ultimate goals with this particular show that you're doing here? Is it just the one night, or do you have
It's
any
just the one night. I wish I could do more. my goals with it, really, I would love to tour with the show. I would love to play music centers. I think that there's an audience for it. I just need to keep building that audience. But that's what my goal. I would love to have a Netflix special eventually. But as for in the near future, I would love to just keep putting the show up. I do right now. I'm self-producing all of it. It'd be great to get somebody to help book me. So yeah, that's sort of what I see for the future of the show.
And Lori, I know you and I have talked a lot about your ideas for where you want to see the business go and everything. That's up to you to tell with what you want to talk about. But where would you like to see Broadtenders go over the next year or so? What would be your ultimate goal with everything?
To have a systems and a staff in place so that the business kind of manages itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I resisted putting in a website for so long and a point of sale system, and it makes life so easy, and it keeps really good records.
Now, let me ask you, speaking of which, I mean, as far as a website is concerned, was it because of COVID that you eventually got a website, or?
We always had a website that was kind of like when you could window shop, but you couldn't buy anything.
Okay.
So we developed a Shopify store, and we were very lucky that we got connected with small business resources right during COVID that connected me with people for Shopify that donated their time and energy to help me build a website for 6 months, to my specifications. And when it was kind of what I wanted, then I had a company that had built my website. I asked them to take over for design elements and stuff like that. And even now, here we are 18 months later, it's still a work in progress because you always have to keep it fresh and new, and we're always adding products. So I would hope that the business, we don't do any marketing, that if there was somebody that would come in that would help with marketing, I think the business has the capacity to double itself within 2 years. Easy, because as you mentioned earlier, a lot of the competition has closed, and we have special items that we make just for the entertainment community that really isn't available anywhere else. So.
And what about you, Claudine? What are your ultimate goals with your show?
Well, I just want to add one thing, just about for Lori. My husband's in Come From Away, and when I was just fed up with all of my bras, he said he went to his costume lady, who had happened to have been somebody who built a costume for me for another show like 20 years ago. And he went to her and she said, "Oh, go to Broadtenders." So I'm wearing you right now.
That's the commercial right there, everyone.
I got my hands in a lot of places.
Yeah. I don't know what goals I have for this show. I think it all depends on what happens this weekend. I think it depends on what my voice tells me. The narration is long. There's more narration than I've ever done. It's a lot of story. So you talk about being perfect. The writer part of me gets angry at the actress part of me, because what you left that line out, and that was an important line. But I have to see what happens this weekend. A lot of my friends, I'm older. A lot of my friends are older. A lot of the people that my go-to people, and a lot of the people I just call them. I call people on the horn and say, how are you doing? And this is how I'm doing. Oh, by the way, without being transactional, because that's awful. But just really truly being curious about them. And wanting to know they're okay, especially friends who are living singly. That's hard. So I don't know yet. When we had our last rehearsal, David said, because of this, he said, "I hope you don't stop singing." And I've been working with a wonderful new teacher, Mike Bruckles, who's actually giving me vocal leads that are comfortable and that I can feel successful with. So on verra, as they say, we'll see what happens. So,
I would like to give a little bit of, with all due respect to Judi, a little bit of therapeutic advice to both of you. If, beyond, Claudine, the physicality of what you will be going through this weekend, for both of you, as far as attendance is concerned and all of those elements that go with it, do not take anything personally as far as attendance is concerned or anything, because it's a very trying time. A lot of people are very nervous about going back out in public, and don't take that as a reflection on your body, as I like to refer to it, as your body of worth. So, just know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I was starting to be like, what's going on?
No.
But I know. Yeah.
It's a scary time for a lot of people, and I'm nervous about going to live shows. To be honest with you, and it's just the uncertainty of what we're hearing more and more. I'm starting to get out there more and more. I'm waiting, for my booster, and hopefully, I'm seeing a doctor tomorrow. Hopefully I can get the booster soon.
Great.
So because I want to be there. I want to be there.
Yeah.
Dr. Bloom, do you have any thoughts on, anything that's been discussed?
Well, really just that, for all of us, these are trying times, and that hasn't changed. And for a lot of people, I see in my practice where people had been so excited about what appeared to be the end of COVID. And then when it, how long did that last? 6 weeks, something like that, right? And then the Delta variant just started taking over. And so people are just really nervous. Because who knows what's going to happen or what could come next. It is a reason why it's so important for all of us to urge everyone to be vaccinated and wear the masks and understand that this is, a temporary measure to prevent a whole lot worse down the line. We don't want, people don't want government control. Well, there's going to be a whole lot more government control if people don't just kind of buck up and do what they need to do.
Right.
So, it's so important for people to understand that. I was mentioning to Richard earlier before the three of you joined us, I was traveling all over Europe and North Africa as well, Morocco, and seeing other countries and how they're handling the COVID crisis, and how much more serious they are about it than a lot of the United States is, really brought that home for us, and just even just getting from one country to another was a huge ordeal.
But if we all knew what the protocols were, and we knew that if everyone was doing the same thing, these rooms would be filled to capacity. Yes, exactly. It's not that people don't want to be there; they want to be there.
Yeah,
it's just that they're nervous.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I've talked to are develop panic attacks going out in public now. That they never had before, and they, it's just really shifted a lot for people. So I think a little patience, a little understanding, and a little faith, right? That eventually this too shall pass.
Yeah.
I can't believe this, but we are at the end of our show. But don't go anywhere for a moment. I just want to do a little wrap up here. I'm going to give each of you a chance to have your own final word. But, we'll get there in just a moment. I want to thank everyone for being here this afternoon. We all hope that you enjoyed the show. If you did, please subscribe to Richard Skipper Celebrates. Hit the like button if you did indeed like today's show. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of today's show. Share this with your friends. Let people know about this. Let people know about these various shows that are going on. Let people know about bra tenders. You don't have to be in show business to take advantage of what Lori has to offer you. And she has a lot to offer. And she also, there are a few men out there who could use her services. So trust me. So, but the Halloween is coming up, so you may need her. So anyway, please, I end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list, and the 9th name that pops up, reach out with a phone call and call that person and let them know what they mean to you. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, but a phone call, and let that person know what they mean to you. And go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go and see a show tomorrow night. Go see Claudine, go see Leah, and go see Leah tomorrow night and go see Claudine on the 12th. You can see both. You can see both.
I would like to see Leah. I want to see Barbara.
Yes.
I would love to have you there.
Yes. So anyway, I am going to actually leave the screen, and I'm going to Claudine, then Lori, then Leah, and then Judi. You'll have the final word. Once again, here's the information for Hey Frenchie. The information will also be in the details on YouTube. And here's the information for Barbara Dixon, live on stage in New York. The legend returns for the first time. So once again, thank you all for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Claudine.
All right, here we go. Well, I guess I think the only thing I can think of is about finding your story or stories, and just putting them out there, because even as specific as you are with your story, it's something universal that others experience and they can connect to it, and that's important. So there you go.
For me, it's always been find that one thing that is magic for you and that makes you you, and do it better than anybody else possibly could. And just be kind to people, be kind to living things, and be considerate. And we live in a big world and there's enough for all of us, but we all need to be a little bit more gentle with each other. And that's that. Thank you.
Oh, this is so nice. I think patience is a big thing. Patience, just do what you love to do. Don't give up on it. And, eventually something will work out.
Absolutely. And don't give up on the future. Go ahead and plan your next vacation. Just make it, I don't know, October of 2022. Pick a date that you feel much more confident with, that things will be available for you, and you'll be able to get out there and see the world again and explore things, buy tickets to a show. Some of that may have to be canceled. We don't know what's going to happen, but make the effort, at least get it in place. And with any luck, you'll be able to do exactly what you set out to do. And in the meantime, do what you can to keep not only yourself safe, but everyone around you safe.